M, the Media Project.
It's 2026, and you are listening to Innovato2. In fact, this is our second full-fledged episode for the year 2026. I'm joined today by my co-host, Ryan Munn. Ryan, it is great to be doing this again with you. It's been way too long since the last time we put an episode together.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, you too. And I would say this is our first with a guest for 2026. The last one was just two of us riffing out. So really excited to share another entrepreneurial story with our listeners.
That's right. Today we're focusing on the entrepreneurial space and our ongoing series of different kinds of discussions about what we feel are some of the great uses of artificial intelligence. We're advocating strongly for the right or great uses of artificial intelligence. And Ryan put this one together. So Ryan, without further ado, I'm going to let you introduce our wonderful guest.
Absolutely. Well, part of what inspired me to invite Crystal, besides her great energy and awesome project, is our conversations that constantly come back around to this idea of the bionic worker, right? The new worker that is empowered by these technologies. And so as I heard the story of Crystal's experience starting up and what she's building, why she's building it, it just seemed like it fit right in. So we have a guest from abroad, if you will, today, not from Vermont, but I feel like is very tuned in with the ethos of our ecosystem here. And so Crystal Petrosky is joining us from Connecticut. We met through some entrepreneur networking group. And she is here to share her story as well as her business, which is, and I'll let her go into more detail, but using AI to better connect job seekers with job providers. And so without going into more detail myself, Crystal, why don't you kick it off from there?
Yes. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you, Ryan. We've had some great conversations already throughout the months of us trying to get this together. So I'm really happy that we finally got a date together to sit down and talk. So my platform that I'm building, Skill Resy, I don't even know where to begin, to be honest with you. I think, Ryan, the first time that I tried to talk about it was, as you said, in a networking event. And I was like, okay, I know this is supposed to be an elevator pitch, but I'm going to cram as much as I can. And I still struggle with making it a short synopsis because it's honestly jam-packed with so many features for students. It helps students study a little bit, faster, a little bit more fun, mobile-friendly versions. For candidates and professionals, it helps you rework your resume, create a resume. It does the research for you so that you don't have to, so that each individual application that you apply for is customized. And it does so much in the back end that, you don't even know. And then when you get the interview, you have an AI assistant that can help you basically practice for the interview first, and then live during the interview can be there right there with you so that if you freeze and you don't know what to say, you can click a button and it will give you an answer just like that. That's a short synopsis. That's the consumer side. I also have a side for hiring managers so that it kind of flips the script, and instead of answering questions, it gives you a process to ask better questions to candidates so that your interview process is more streamlined.
So let me put a pin in that right there, because I want to share a little bit more of your backstory too here, right? Because like you said, this didn't just come out of the blue. You've got a kind of unique experience that's fed into the evolution of all of these features. So, you know, you're a wife and mother, right? If I'm remembering some of those details that came up.
Yep.
And so you've done that alongside a career. So share a little about that career experience that led to the ideas that ultimately became this solution.
Yeah. So I have been a recruiter for over 15 years, and I have been listening to candidates and hiring managers' pain points for all of those years. And throughout the years, if you have done any hiring, if you've been searching for a job in the last 15 years, you would know that the markets change. And what I mean by market, it's not the stock market, it's the hiring climates. Sometimes it's a candidate's market, sometimes it's an employer's market. And those fluctuate just like the stock market, but not at the same, not if they don't coincide.
Not the
Both.
same rapid
And
volatility.
is it just a feeling, or is it true that there's way more disconnection in the process of hiring? Because, I feel like if we go back all the way to when the three of us are all around the same age, when we go back to when we were in college, and all we ever heard, if you were even paying attention, in the press, I remember reading for years in the Globe, in the Herald. I went to school in the Boston area, and all the
Mhm.
papers, right? The future of hiring is good. We need smart, creative people. We need people who can problem solve.
Yeah.
If I ever again hear one more time in my life the term, we need people who think outside the box.
Oh,
I just want
yeah.
to crawl into my box. I'm thinking in here. Look at me doing all my awesome thinking inside this box. Okay. But then, we all went out into the job market. Now there are gross exceptions to this. And, but in most, especially in your traditional sectors of industry, right? I feel like the opposite has happened. I feel like it's more of a restrictive environment. I feel like it's harder for people who don't have much experience. I also think that it's even harder for people with a lot of experience.
Mm,
Right? Because we're looking for the people who have enough experience, we don't have to train them, but they can't have too much experience, because if they do, they're expensive. All of
right.
these things play, and I feel like there's like disconnection. And then I talk to hiring people that are just peers and stuff, and they're all like, there's just everything, between regulations and all these resumes I have. None of these people really have the requisite skills that are even on their resume, yada, yada, yada. So,
Yep.
that true? Is that a myth?
I think all of it is true to some extent. It depends on the company, it depends on where, it depends on the job title. There's so many factors. I can't put everything into one category and say yes, that's all true, or no, that's not true. I think it's there's really a lot of factors that go into it. And I think the main thing that's changed since we were younger and we were just starting is the use of AI in candidate screening, in candidates themselves, and companies themselves. That has put a major impact on the human aspect of an interview. An interview, as we have all known it for so long, is a human talking to a human and figuring out if there's a match there. um, well, now when you're applying to jobs, a human is no longer looking at your resume. It's a computer. They're screening your resume. Okay, do they fit this box? Do they check this off? Do they have this skill? Do they have this many years of experience? And if your resume isn't formulated correctly so that it can read it, or if it doesn't say the exact words that they want to see, you're thrown away, even if you're the perfect candidate. And that's where candidates are getting really, really frustrated, is because they can have the exact experience, but oops, Their resume didn't fit.
because I know you're knee deep in it, right? Because this
Yeah.
is your creation, right? Is it, why are we not waiting for the artificial intelligence options we have to get sophisticated enough to be able to read any formatted resume? Or is the fact that you're doing that, people like you doing the work you are doing to advance better use of AI, is that actually what's driving the, getting towards that more sophisticated or nuanced, or however you want to measure it,
Yeah.
artificial intelligence solution?
I think honestly, companies have invested a lot of money into these products that are supposed to help them be more time efficient. And they've put so much money into it that they're like, well, it's got to work. We're hanging our hat on this. And once that platform is sold to those companies and those companies are in it, I don't know if the platforms that they're using have a whole lot of incentive to do better by them. Is it kind of working? Yeah, sure, it is. Is it making it better for candidates? 1,000% no. No, it's not.
Interesting.
It's making it worse for candidates. And the companies are sneaking by. It's good enough that it works. But is it perfect? No. And what are their incentives to change it? What are their incentives to put new code and to drastically improve it? I don't know what their incentives
And
could.
to clarify a little bit from the tech side of this too, like a lot of what we're referring to when people are thinking of how AI is being applied to this process, it's not the same AI that people are thinking of, like what you're using or what people are using in their pocket. It's AI from 3 or 5 years ago. It's algorithms that are analyzing and filtering those resumes, but they're not providing the level of insight or cognitive analysis on those resumes. It's just yes, no, based on criteria for the most part. And then a person has to take it from there. And that's where, like you're saying, they've invested in those technologies and they've got that sunk cost, and there's money not continuing to flow in those technologies. So those companies aren't necessarily super motivated to upgrade it unless they can get more money out of their clients. And the companies that have put them in place have put a significant cost and effort to put that in place, and they're not super excited about a whole new project to revamp it.
Okay, so
that's a big delay.
So they're not even large language models. They're simply algorithms that are designed to identify keywords.
Yeah. I think there are new ones out there that are more sophisticated, but the larger companies, maybe they'll take on more tech, but it really depends.
It's a time delay.
Right. What are they going to invest in? What are they going to sink their money into next? What are they going to hang their hat on next? Is it really going to work? Because it wasn't really working and people are kind of pissed. So what are we going to do next?
So
there's a lot
of
pressure.
And so enter Crystal's solution, and you were describing a whole bunch of different intersections where what you're developing or have developed can solve problems for those people, right up and down this whole ecosystem, right? This relationship ecosystem that is hiring and preparing your resume and all that. Now, a lot of people in business will say, oh, you have to simplify. You have to do that one good thing right. Everything you say has to be an elevator pitch, all that kind of stuff, right? But we all know that life doesn't necessarily operate that way. Life is nuanced. Life is happening all at the same time, right? So siloing things off so we better understand them is good, but we don't live that way, right? So what do you say to the people who might, or let me reframe the question. Did some folks say, no, you got too much going on here. You should simplify this. It should do one or two things right, or or is the technology itself that you're using, does it make itself conducive to one technology that can do a whole bunch of different things simultaneously because it's sophisticated enough to do so?
Yeah. I mean, I have gotten a lot of different types of feedback. I have been told that I'm single-handedly ruining the world because I'm creating AI.
That's when you know. That's when you know whatever you're doing is genius.
Devastation there is either very low or super high. So I mean, I'm either the worst person in the world because of this, or I'm very helpful. And to
Whatever you're
answer-
doing, by the way, it must be good. It must be super good for people to say that.
yeah, I mean, clearly nothing else in the world is more important to them than me doing this resume generator. Helping people get jobs is apparently the worst thing I could ever do. So yeah, I have been told there's too many features, right? Especially the marketing companies that I've tried to reach out to help me. They're like, there's so much. We should focus on one thing. And I'm like, well, yes, but the whole point of it is it moves with you in your career. So you start off as a student, then you need a job, then you need a resume, then you need to apply to jobs, which you can do on the platform also. Then you need to interview for the job, which you could do on the platform also. And then, oh my gosh, wait a second, I have these weekly calls. Now I'm supposed to be this superstar employee. How am I going to keep that image? Well, keep using the platform for all of these video calls that they do. Ryan, you had a great idea last week. What do you think about this, that, and the other thing? And you're like, uh-oh, I got to come up with another good idea. Click a button real quick. Oh, there's a good idea. And now you're a superstar again. It keeps going with you. And then you're a manager. You have to hire. Boom. Platform again. It's the whole hiring cycle in one platform. And I'm not doing that to be greedy. I'm doing that to make it easy. You get comfortable with a platform. You want to keep it. You want to keep using it. Great. I want you to. I want you to have an easy interview process.
You're describing a very, it's like this synthesis that's going on. And it's almost like when we've talked to people that are advocates for, and founders of companies doing artificial general intelligence, like I almost feel like this bot's going to get more and more intelligent about its master, and it stays with you all along. And it goes through this whole lifespan, you know what I mean? And it's learning you, and it's learning about your needs at that given moment. And I don't know, Ryan, maybe I want you to weigh in on this too, because you're far more intelligent when it comes to artificial intelligence. So,
Well,
but like
I don't know
that's
if
what
I'd
I
say
feel
that,
like.
but
Crystal's developing, and she's describing this thing that's it travels along with you over the course of your career, and
Yeah.
and maybe that is what that idea of synthesis. There's so many parallels to all different kinds of the art world that we're living in now. Is an example where like the last big frontier, the last big frontier is the synthesis of a modicum of styles from around the world. And how do we, now that we're all so highly connected, what new forms emerge because African artists and Asian artists and North American artists and South American artists are finding each other en masse, right? I feel like it's like that. It's like this is something that stays with you, and it develops, and it becomes even more sophisticated over time. And it synthesizes what it's learning from you, in this case, in the HR space.
Driven by data. Driven by technology. Driven by community development. Driven by the need to get results for your project. SM Graves Associates. Delivering real estate development to you, including project management and pre-development services with a keen focus on delivering community-oriented projects. We build profitable projects that respond to the needs of your neighborhood. Join the SMG family. Find us at smgravesassociates.com.
Yeah, I mean, I've got questions coming to mind about kind of like how you're doing this. And obviously you don't want to totally give away the secret sauce, but I'm envisioning that you've got, a harness built around this model that has, you know, key resources so that it's narrowed the focus onto certain areas of research and development around job searching and the job market. And then
Yep.
on the other side, you've got this memory that it's developing around a particular candidate or a particular hiring entity in order to really tailor that experience as it develops and interacts more with the data of the company or interacts more with the resumes and the experience of the individual. So I'm curious if you can, I guess, talk a little bit more, again, not necessarily diving too much into like your secret sauce on the tech, but like your mentality around how this tool is, I mean, what you've described is it becomes part of your life. And it's kind of like your life coach, which is how a lot of people treat chatbots today, but
Right.
they're so susceptible to some of the problems that exist and the hallucinations I mess with multiple models, local and cloud at the same time in harnesses. And I find myself constantly cross-checking one with another and calling them out on their BS and be like,
What is
no,
what
stop,
is
you're on the wrong path. Start back here. Look at this information, rethink this, give me a better answer. And then it's like, oh, you're totally right. And I'm like, okay, I still don't like that reply.
Stop
You're right,
gaslighting.
human.
Don't just tell me I'm right.
Right.
Crystal,
Don't tell me I'm
Crystal,
right.
help Ryan get a job doing this. It's a great job to do in the future.
So I think the main thing that I wanted to do to differentiate myself from the other models is like ChatGPT, Cloud, and all those other. So they don't know to not lie.
Right.
They will lie to you because they don't have that brain
Filter.
filter to
Yeah.
say, they're going to pull from whatever bucket and they're going to say, yeah, of course that's true. Yeah, sure. Well, in some cases that is true. And here's why it is. And it'll feed you the answers that you want to hear. And it makes it easy to kind of, go down a wrong path. I didn't want anything like that. So with mine, I like to think it's a little bit more ethical just because I said you cannot lie. I made a rule where if the information doesn't exist on your resume, if you don't put that you have this skill, if it doesn't learn that about you, it's not going to say that you have that skill. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to help people lie or look good just for the sake of looking good. I want to help people be more confident by expressing the skills that they already have. And sometimes they're just not articulate enough to actually say them.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get nervous. Sometimes people don't interview well. They don't test well. They're not good in crowds. They're not good in groups. They're not, and that's okay. But this platform is meant to help people get past that anxiety or fear or whatever you want to call it, and really just showcase what the reality is without lying. I will not allow lying. Now, if they tell the AI, I have this skill, then they're lying and I can't help that. But I purposely trained it to only go off of what the reality is and not anything beyond that. I'm not giving that the power to come up with lies and just feed you bullshit. No, not happening here.
How do you do that, by the way? Maybe I'm just getting too far into the minutia of your journey as a entrepreneur, but do you literally is it something that you're requesting and then it's being written into the code, or are you literally yourself interacting with the bot as a first phase and telling it not to lie? Like, how do you make it not lie?
So in this, so for the candidates, especially, your profile really kind of tells it what it can and cannot say. And you create that resume. That resume then follows you into the job search. So it searches for jobs that match your skill set. And then it says, hey, you should apply to these jobs. Here you go. Boom, 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 boom. And you can apply to the jobs right then and there. You don't have to go on any other site. It knows, okay, here's the skills that you're telling me you have, and here are the jobs that you can have. And then it takes you to your interview. Okay, let's prep for that. And I know you have these skills. And you know what? They just asked you a question you shouldn't know, but here's a great way to answer a question that you don't know the skill set and how to say it in a professional way. So it's not that I'm teaching the AI. You actually are creating the basis for which the AI can perform. And if you don't fill out that profile very well, then your answers aren't going to be the best. So it's really in your best interest. And I have like a tab. Hey, you haven't filled out your profile all the way. You should do that, to encourage people to do that, because people are used to the easy out, right? Like ChatGPT, just give me an answer. Okay, but ChatGPT, let's just say for the students, right? For students, if they go in, oh, I got this quiz question that I can do from home, and okay, I'm just going to ChatGPT it. Well, guess what? ChatGPT is pulling from the whole internet. It's going to give you an answer that your professor is going to know, I didn't teach that shit.
Right.
It's going to be wrong because your professor's like, that answer didn't come from me. You cheated. You went online and you found that answer. So my student platform, again, same concept. You put in the documents, the training modules, all the things you can say, like, okay, chapter 3 of this book. You put in all of that information. You feed it the information, and then it gives you the answer that you really need to use. Not
Just for the cheat code for those students out there, it's what you're describing is not just asking the question, but asking the question, identifying the professor, letting them know what book it is, what class you're in, the whole context, so
Yes.
that it can provide you the accurate cheat answer.
right. The accurate.
And it's one
Yes.
that if you have enough context to give it that, even if it's quote unquote giving you the answer, it's not an answer that you didn't know necessarily.
Right. You
It's
should have.
prompting you to then have a place to start and then express the rest of your idea and kind of take it from there. If you're in live conversation, you could try to read verbatim on something that comes up, but ultimately the idea is that you're getting prompted something that it knows your skills because they're in your resume. It knows you got the job, you got through, at least a step in the process, and
Yeah.
it's nudging you in the direction that you should already be ready to go.
Yeah. And you're putting in, hey, I'm interviewing with Google right now, and it's for this job. And in the background, it's cross-referencing Google as a company, all of the information on the internet about Google. Let's say you're interviewing for a software engineer. Okay, the software engineer title, it's Googling, or, well, no, I shouldn't say it's Googling. It's looking up and researching software engineering jobs with Google. And then it's saying, okay, all of that information on the internet, but here's your skill level and here's where I can pull from. So based on what they're looking for and your skill level, here's what I can say is the best answer.
Nice. So, $1 million question. It looks like it's out on the App Store and Google Play now. It can be downloaded by end users.
Yeah.
You also have an enterprise side to this. Can colleges or other recruiters or other parties get access to this and utilize it as well?
Yes, all of the above. And I also created a desktop version in case people want to use their computers. So there's a link that you can use to just go log in on your computer. It's a bigger screen, it's not all crammed on your phone. But you can use it on the go on your phone, and you can use it on your computer. There's a student platform, there's a candidate and professional platform, and then there's the hiring manager platform. So they're all kind of separated. And really, it can be used, like you said, for colleges. I've been trying to get into colleges to help me increase their ratio for students getting a job after they graduate.
Yeah.
For some reason, they don't want to listen to me. For some reason, they are like, I don't know. This seems like you're kind of taking our job. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to help your students.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'd say the trend, the way the numbers are trending, their jobs at risk regardless. It's.
Yeah. I'm not getting a lot of good feedback from the schools. They're like,
Yeah.
you're going to take my job. And I'm like, well, I could help you right now.
It's a tool. They should see it as a tool to help scale their efforts, because the reality is they can only directly help a small percentage of their own, the current students. You know what I mean? It's never been that, like, schools, it's never even been the primary job of schools to really fully help you transition into workhood. That really more, I find that was more predicated on what department you studied in and who was the head of that department. If that person also worked in that industry, right? They tended to be people that were more like, hey, let's spend some time learning about putting together the resume and making it work for this particular industry. And you know what I mean? Like school, like the overall school administrative people who are tasked with doing that only help a small percentage.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to help the masses, which they don't get.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give them a platform, which, by the way, their students could try for free. And if they don't like it, then don't use it. But apparently it's not,
So we've buried the lead a little bit. I want to give people a chance to dig into this themselves as well. We want them to keep listening. But it's Skill Resy is the app. And you can find that at skillresy.com, skillresy.com. And we'll get that in the show notes for you. And they can find it on the App Store and on Google Play. And so the App Store and Google Play app, that's just for the user side of it, or does that work on both sides as well, the hiring and the user portal?
So for the candidates and the students, I felt like the mobile version was more helpful. For the hiring portion, the hiring platform, I did that just on the desktop. So that's www.hiringplatform.skillresy.com. But that's also on the website. So if you just go on the website, you could see that too. Yeah.
And we haven't dug in, but do you have any like walkthroughs? I see a YouTube link there. Do you have any walkthroughs, things like that on other videos that people can kind of see how some of it works, or is any of that in the works right now?
Say Instagram has a few kind of tutorial type things, but it's so in depth, and also there's personal information on there. So you can't really fully give a whole thing. I mean, we could make a dummy one and just put, like, John Smith, some generic name or something. But yeah, we're still kind of in the beginning phases of marketing and trying to figure out what people want to see and how to make it easier to use. And all of that is a work in progress. And I listen to feedback, user feedback all the time.
Yeah. And just to clarify, when people are on there, you said they can find that jobs right on the app. So is that searching like all other job listing sites and kind of pulling them into a list feed for the user? So they can kind of one to many kind of a resource for them to find listings on various platforms.
Yeah, so you create your resume, and then when you create the resume, it brings you right straight to the next screen is, okay, these jobs align with that resume. These are the jobs we think you should apply for with this resume. So it makes it very, very easy. It's like, okay, duh, I
Yeah.
should apply to these jobs. The AI is telling me that's a good idea. It doesn't cost extra. So it's all handed to you on a silver platter. And then when you're like, oh, you know what? I'm really interested in that job at Google and I want to practice for it. Okay, there you go. Stay on the platform, practice for the interview. Right then and there, it'll give you practice questions. You're more prepared, you're more confident, you're ready to go. And then when you have the real interview, you can use it again.
Nice. That's awesome.
I just
That's
actually
awesome.
applied for a job and got a job while you guys are sitting here just talking. Okay. You laughing, but it's happening
See
right
how
now as we speak. Look at that. The old guy on
That
the
easy.
call got himself a job.
Nice.
So easy, an old guy can do it. That's fine. That's gonna be my next ad.
I feel like what's interesting about this is there's a whole bunch of us. I don't know how I came to be this person. I didn't purposely want to be this person, but over the years, spending the majority of your life self-employed, and then you find yourself wanting to change that for strategic reasons. You suddenly realize, wow, this ain't going to be easy. Okay. In any situation, it's not, even if you are organized and, speak well and all that. First of all, a lot of people are threatened by a non-traditional way, or like so many of us are getting deep skill sets that are either highly translatable to other industries, and that's hard to articulate, or you've been working in your industry for a very long period of time, but you didn't go to school for that. Like on paper, it doesn't look like you have deep deep experience. I shouldn't say skill sets, but deep experience for that industry, right? And
Right.
I feel like this tool will help all those people,
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It
in
just
that,
uncovers the things that you don't know what to say,
yeah,
and it helps pull it out. Okay, you should say it like this. You're applying to this job. I know. And actually, one of the coolest things about it is it researches who had that job last. And then it'll say, well, this person has this types of skills, and their code of ethics and their culture and their initiatives this year are this, that, and this. So if you want to get this job, even though you don't have every single skill, you should emphasize these skills because those are the ones that they're going to want to hear about the most. So it just helps you pull out the best in you and showcase it and really try and I guess just emphasize the things that matter the most to that specific company. And that's why you don't apply to every job with the same resume, because every company, every hiring manager, and every job requires different skills.
Awesome.
So true.
Yeah. Great. Well, I guess we're coming close, or we're past our time actually that we had on the calendar. Is there anything else that you want to share with people, that you want people to know about, the tool or the process, or just hope finding a job?
Yeah, I think if you're new to the job market, it can help you. If you're a seasoned employee, it can help you. It doesn't matter where you are in your career, it can help you. So look it up and try it out. There's literally no risk because you could try it for free. And share it with your friends. You never know who is silently struggling, hating their job, or maybe they're very loudly hating their job. There's a lot of that too. Share it with those people and say, hey, well, you know what? Do something about it. Let's help them get a better job so that they can live a happier life and they can stop complaining to you all the time.
Nice. That sounds good. That
Right on.
sounds good. Yeah, we don't need more complaining.
Right.
Want to hear the good, happy stories of the new job.
Solutions, people.
Yes, that's right. This is your answer.
Awesome. Well, I suppose we should wrap up, and thank you. Stick on for a minute after we turn off the recording, but thank you to our listeners. Really appreciate you tuning in to Innovato 2 and hearing another excellent entrepreneurial story. Check out Skill Resy. Sounds like it's a great tool, and you can try it for free. And let us know what you think. Let us know what you get from it. Obviously, we heard Crystal say she wants feedback. So jump in there, try it out, and let us know. And thank you, Crystal, so much for joining us. Really appreciate hearing your story and the experience. And, you're basically doing this on your own. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So we're super happy to see, the capability that these tools are providing, and the grit that you're showing to push it through and get through those doors. And it'd be great to see more people using this, but I think, you're on the right track. It'll be great to see colleges and other organizations that are involved in helping people find jobs realize a tool like this is out there, and they can amplify the power of that to change people's lives.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Find Innovato 2 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and subscribe to Interchain Live on YouTube for video podcasts. Innovato 2 is a collaboration of Interchain Live and M the Media Project.